Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Ba'ashem Rakak. And I want to say Shalom to Yaakman Akwat out there pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. I don't have a title for this one yet, but it is in response to the this lesson here by the brother Elder Manata Zatba, all right, down from South Carolina. His page is GMS South Carolina 08. All right, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Very edifying content that comes from this this brother here. Again, he's the elder of GMS South Carolina down there teaching in Myrtle Beach. All right, most of you are familiar with him. If you're not, if you don't know the name exactly, you'll recognize the face. Right here, I'll try to show you. Try to see if there's not one that really has the his face in it, or any of their faces, because he teaches with this other brother down there. But anyway, go and subscribe to the page. All right, a lot of edifying content that goes out. And this is a response to his video titled "Esau is triggered and tries to circumvent his judgment." Okay, Esau is triggered and tries to circumvent his judgment. And how do I want to do it? I guess I'll go ahead and play a little bit of it. Let me see. We probably won't go to, because there's a lot of information. There's a lot of good stuff in here. I guess we'll do it bit by bit. Let me see. I guess we'll just start playing it. So, anyway, the first guy here is going to be this Jake here. And, again, I'm in the sun right now, so it's kind of hard to see. But I guess his name is You've Been Cut, which is a pretty good name. And again, this guy has a long hair demon on him, though. But besides that, I mean, the guy seems to know at least somewhat of what he's talking about, at least dealing with the Edomites, right? And it's him talking to this other Edomite individual, well, not other Edomite, but him talking to this Edomite individual about, basically about the Edomites trying to bring up John 1 and 11, and he's, the Jake is talking about, how basically if something is said, it has to add up throughout all the scripture, right? You can't just pick and choose, and that's what Esau does. They say, John 3:16, he loved there. Well, yeah, but look at the whole context of the Bible about how he's only choosing Israel. He only dealt with Israel. You of all nations have I known. Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated. About how I'm not sent but to gather the lost sheep of Israel. That's a direct quote from Yahushua, who these individuals would call Jesus Christ. And you add that up and add that up and add that up, and all of a sudden you have John 3:16. Well, something's got to give, and it does give. Bear with me. Let me put on something. Give me a minute. Oh, bear with me. Got the sun right in my eyes. It's like it. But yeah, they try to use that, but they don't understand the context, and that's why you go back into the Greek. And when you go back into the Greek, the word for world, all right, is cosmos, which can refer to the world of a subject. I always like to say there's a video game called The World of Warcraft. Is that referring to the whole world ever? No, it's the world of Warcraft. All right. What about the world of automobiles? Is that referring to everything in the whole world? No, it's specifically referring to the automobile world. All right, what about, he so loved the world? Well, did he love the whole world? No, he's dealing with the world of Israel, and you got to realize where the Lord's focus is on. It's always been on Israel, so the world's view is Israel at the pinnacle, the prime. All right, the prime subject. All right, is Israel. All right, for lack of a better word, I was trying to dance around to figure out which word I wanted to mean. But the prime subject, the main protagonist is Israel. That's where the focus is, right? Like, in many different books, there might be subjects that's talking about, they went to Greenland, or they went, but where's the book mainly taking place? And if the book's taking place in France, it's mostly talking about France. It might talk about other places, it might talk about other people, but it's usually focused around one group of people. A guy named Larry and his wife, Janissa, right? Say that's the book. It might mention somebody named Bill or Bob or George, but at the end of the day, it's Larry and Janissa that are the focus, right? And that's how this truth is, all right? The Bible mentions other people, but the focus, the importance, all right, is really Israel, all right? And of course, then the main antagonist, because as every book has to have a some type of plot, something that's happening. If it's a horror movie, there's a villain, all right, or if it's a fantasy movie, there's a villain, all right, and the earth can be the villain, or a person can be a villain, or a concept can be a villain. In this story, all right, in the ultimate story made of all time by Yahweh Shemao Shai, the enemy, all right, is Esau Edom. And there is a twist. Like in most stories, there's a twist. The twist is Esau is in power, and he's all ruling, right? And he owns everything. And I mean, we're driving right now. I'm not in the driver's seat. That's why I'm doing this, because I know the boss says, stop making those videos where you, get in scripture while you're driving. So just wanted to put that out there. That is dangerous. Don't do that. But looking around at all the, there's building after building. Esau owns that. Esau owns that. Esau owns that. Walmart. Esau owns that. Bank of America. Esau owns that. Well, Esau in some derivative could be the grandchild. All right, i.e., Amalek. But Harbor Freight. All these different things. Esau. All right. But the big twist is that all those things are going to be destroyed and dissolved, and everything that you see is going to be Israelite owned, right, in the kingdom. Okay, we're not going to have a Steinberg and Steinberg, right, in the kingdom. We're not going to have that. You ain't going to be having shit, right? Now, there will be some of the Moabites that'll be selling stuff, but you damn sure ain't going to be setting up in our hometown, right? Not in my backyard. So, what is that, NIMBY, as they say? Not in my backyard. Yeah, man, it's just one of those things where Esau, he's on the top right now, but he's soon to be on the bottom, right? He's very soon to be on the bottom, and it's just how it's going to be. You can take my wallet and get me one too, please. But yeah, man, these people are going to be completely and utterly just destroyed, man. There's not going to be, especially the Edomite, all right? The Edomite, after 1,000 years, that they're really not going to be able to build anything ever. Right? I mean, you're going to have the Moabites, they're going to be dwelling in their land, and all the other nations, all the other heathens, and they're going to be in their lands. They might have a little clothes shop in their land. They're not going to be posting up in our land. We're not going to be flying by in our chariots seeing Wang Lees, all right, linens. No. Maybe if we go to their area, and again, because we're going to be going over there to closely monitor them. But, Esau, they have all this stuff. All right, set up. And you notice how we don't see much Jake stuff at all? Well, that's how it's going to be in the kingdom. You're not going to see anything Edomite. All right? It's going to be Jake. Right? And that's just how it's going to be. And you can't do nothing about it. Right? There's ain't nothing you can say about it. Can't cry about it. Or you can cry about it, but it ain't going to get anything done. But Esau is upset about all of this, man. And with that, as the elder talks about, he's trying to circumvent his judgment. He being Esau, the so-called white man. And again, not every white man's an Edomite. Every time I have to mention that, because again, they try to turn it into a skin color thing, as they do, because they're not spiritual. All right, they're very carnal of the flesh, so they see what pertains in the flesh, and they say, oh, well, it must be it must be the color, and that's just not how it goes, man. That's just not how it is. At the end of the day, you're gonna have white Israelites, and you're gonna have black Edomites. All right, it's just gonna, so-called. All right, using those covering casts. But they try to do that to demonize, it's about a black and a white thing. It's not a black and a white thing. It's an Esau and a Jake thing. All right. Matter of fact, let's put us first. It's a Jake and an Esau thing. Okay. It's not black. It don't matter if you're black or white. It don't matter. All right. It ain't about that. But again, Esau tried, it's a skin color thing. It's this, it's that. You don't understand it, man. All right, and that's a part of him trying to circumvent his judgment, trying to say, well, you're just hateful. You're just hateful. Everybody's hateful. You're hateful. You're racist. You're racist. We're all racist. Racist means to be for your own people. Are we for our own people? Yes, obviously, you're for your own people. Everyone should be for their own people. Asians should be for Asians, blacks for blacks, whites for whites. That's how it is, right? Every time we try to mix, that's when shit starts to go down. All right? When all that integration happened in the fucking civil rights movement, that's when shit started to go down. It started to go down before that. Anyway. Right? We've already had issues before that where so-called white people would come over to Jake areas and try to kill him. How do you think it's going to be when you start trying to integrate? Right? How do you think it's going to be when you try to integrate? You think they're going to like that very much? No, they're not going to like it very much, man. And that's the thing, our people, and really it's a problem with our people, not so much as Esau, is our people want to go around people that don't want them around you. Right? If I have a dog that growls at me and barks at me and tries to attack me every time, I don't want to go around that fucking dog, man. I don't want to go. I don't care how cute the fucking dog is. I don't care. I'm not going to go around his ass. I'm not going to try to pet him. But here it is. You got this fucking wildebeest Esau, and Jake wants to go around him. And then when they end up getting bit, well, he bit me. Don't you know who you're dealing with? Right? Don't you know who you're dealing with? Right? As the scripture says, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore be harmless as doves. Or I send you forth as sheep in form. I send you therefore as sheep before the let's go and get it. Be ye therefore harmless as doves, wise as serpents. Into the midst of, I'm not going to try it. Wise as serpents. The midst of wolves. Okay. Behold, Matthew 10 and 16. It says, behold, I send you forth as sheep. Alright. Suck him. Alright, behold. Bear with me. Let me get situated back. I'll take that. Thank you. Hold up, brothers and sisters. Hold up. Alright, 1 minute. Bear with me, slacky brothers and sisters. 1 minute. Alright. Alright, slacky for that. But Matthew 10 and 16, it says, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And again, when you see these scriptures that are talking about harmless, and there's another scripture that says abstain from all appearance of evil. This is this is being harmless as what's right unto us, and it's being maintaining no appearance, abstain from all appearance of evil as it is unto us. There might be things in the world that people think are evil, but they're not. Right? They might think that it's evil if we wear, the necklace with the Lord's name on it. Or they might think it's evil if, we have a sign with Jesus Christ with devil horns on it. They might think that's evil. They might think a lot of things are evil. Again, it's not pertaining. It's what the Lord thinks evil. It's not because they again abstain from all appearance of evil. They would think that what we're doing is the appearance of evil. All right, it's what's right according to the Lord, not what's right unto man. All right, the scripture says, "Ye are they that justify yourselves before men." All right, that's a part of the scripture out there, and we don't justify ourselves before men. A man might think what we're doing is evil. We're justified before Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay. So, and people are always going to try to find a reason, something you wear, something you look. And again, there's certain things you shouldn't do, like wearing all complete black. All right, because again, that has it's like more for mourning. So you should break it up. No black shoes, black socks with black pants, with a black shirt, with a black coat, with a black hat. Like the apostle was just talking about this recently, and it's more so about. And there's not a scripture that says don't do that necessarily per se, but it has a negative vibration on it when you do that. Because again, traditionally, black was more for mourning. All right, so unless you're in a state of mourning, you shouldn't really be doing all that. And I like wearing black, lots of black. But again, I usually I'll break it up. If I'm gonna wear black pants, I'll wear a different colored shirt. Or if I'm gonna wear a black shirt, I'll wear a different colored pants. Like right now, I'm wearing a black shirt with a black vest. But I got khakis on, all right, as they would be called, khakis on, and I got some beigeish, creamish color with gray shoes on, right? And again, and sometimes I wear heavy metal shirts. Some people in the world, Christians, will think that's evil, right? I don't wear anything with like people getting slaughtered and shit on it, but it has a little bit of sometimes some creepier imagery, right? But again, Christians are going to think you're a Satanist, right? When really they're the Satanists. So we justify ourselves before Yahweh Shem Yahushai. But again, at the end of the day, you shouldn't be wearing all black, all right? Try to break it up, as the apostle said. I wanted to relay that information out there. And this is coming from someone who likes wearing black, all right? Because again, most of the band shirts are in black, right? You can dress how you dress as long as it's not an evil thing to do, right? There are things that are a little bit too extreme that I would recommend probably staying away from, like a spiked collar necklace with a mohawk. Well, first of all, you got to go bold with it, but that's a heathenistic type haircut. Even though it was originally created by Gad. All right, Gad was kind of, loony at that time, but dressing full punk style as they do, that's a little extreme. But you can, be like a metal shirt and like a little metal vest or something like that. That's fine, but don't do like ISUPK does. They have those like gauntlets and then the black shirt with the black. That's looking like a like. Here, I'll show you. You probably don't want to go out the house looking like this. This is actually Immortal. I'm actually wearing an Immortal shirt right now, but they're good. They're not one of the satanic black metal bands, but they're more fantasy driven. But you probably don't want to go out the house looking like that, all right? More than likely, all right? And that's a sign that's used in metal a lot. It was actually created by the band. Well, it wasn't created by the band. It's the something Kornos. It's basically the sign of the horns, and it actually goes back to the worship of Baal and those horn gods. And it originally came out, I believe it was in 1969, with a band called Coven. And their debut album, and I believe the only album they had, which was called Witchcraft, Reaps Souls and Destroys Minds. And it was the first in what they would call satanic rock, all right, or shock rock. And at the end of that album, they have a 13-minute long recorded black mass, all right, which is, in reference to the devil. And the lead singer, and I know this because I used to listen to them, the singer, Jinx Dawson, on the back cover is completely naked, all right, completely unclothed. You can see her titties and everything, and she's on top of an altar, and people are like holding a knife, or obviously they weren't a sacrifice, it was for the photo. But no, and they classify that as the first time that black mass to Satan was ever recorded on audio. And it was, if you look into the history behind that album, first of all, when they would come out, they would do this sign. It later got popularized by Black Sabbath and Ronnie James Dio, who just went by Dio. All right, but he was originally part of Richie Blackmore's Rainbow. All right, but anywho, he did it. Allegedly, the story was him is because I guess he was part Romani or something like that, and his grandma would always tell him that, like, oh, well, make sure to do that and throw that up at the crowd, because when people are doing that, they're trying to cast the evil eye on you, and you can ward that off with the sign of the horns. Anyway, it's a bunch of crazy shit. But you see like this. This is a little extreme with the bullet belts and the chains and all that stuff and all this stuff. You can wear a black shirt, but wear a different color thing. I probably wouldn't do the bullet belts either. I mean, I think they look cool, but I probably really, again, I probably wouldn't do it, And I definitely wouldn't be putting on corpse paint, Halloween makeup. I wouldn't be doing that. But again, if you just want to do a regular shirt, right, and maybe like a vest, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you don't have any like satanic imagery on it. Like a lot of these bands, they have upside down crosses, or they have pentagrams or something like that, and that's more for the extreme metal. But there's other bands that don't do that. All right. For example, Slayer has an upside down inverted pentagram. Even if it's upright, you can't do that. But other bands like Iron Maiden, you can wear an Iron Maiden shirt for the most part, depending on the one, right? There's some that you probably wouldn't want to do because of the Eddie, right? But Iron Maiden shirt, there's some that are fine. There's some that are not. Like this one just has a mummy. This one's not too bad, right? That's from the Power Slave album. There's other ones like this that aren't too bad, but there's other ones you probably want to stay away from, because like the ones with skulls and stuff like that, like I don't know, zombies are a little bit different. Maybe I don't know. Again, hey, look, use your own discernment. At the end of the day, Iron Maiden shirts are usually crazy, and I wouldn't do Power Slave is my favorite album by them, but it's in reference to Egypt, so I'm not gonna have all that Egyptian Ankh and Pharaoh and Sphinx type fucking reference all over me. Again, negative vibration. But you can go and look up, for example, say if there was a Pantera shirt, right? Their stuff's usually better, right? You can get I guess it's not much better with this stuff. For example, like vulgar display of power, stuff like that. The shirt that I have a shirt by them, doesn't have any of this. I guess their merch has a lot of skulls into it too. Again, a lot of the bands are gonna have skull. Hell, aside from metal bands, you go to the amount of times I've been to Ross, and you're just trying to find a regular shirt, and it's like a skeleton smoking weed, or like a demon, or it says Savage, or it's got something fucking stupid on it. But anyway, that's besides the point. Again, we have to do what's right unto Yahweh Shem Shai, not what's right unto the people. And again, these are people that justify themselves before men. Okay, but anyway, Esau being triggered. let me get back here and go into it. And bear with me, I'm going to have to edit this clip up because my personal account coming up. But anyway, here we go.
Those are two different
I'm gonna play this so you can hear it. Anyway, this guy is talking about talking out of his ass if you really want to get down to it. So here you go.
We're gonna go to John chapter 1. We're gonna look at this verse right here.
But I mean, I don't mind going there, but I want to know is like, are we gonna deal with the new covenant concept, or are we gonna deal with what you're trying to say with John 1? Because there's it doesn't
whose
mention
blood is the covenant in, Yanni?
Christ, but it doesn't mention that there.
He came into his own people, and his own did not receive him. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. This is where we switched from national relationships with God to individual relationships with God.
And that's not true. All right, that's not true at all. He said, well, let's go and get John 1 and 1, all right, or 1 and 11, excuse me, because that's what he was reading. He read, he came unto his own. Well, let me start. I believe he was starting up from, I believe, 10. All right, this is John 1 and 10 through 11. It says, he was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. So they're saying, oh, well, he came unto the, the Jews, and the Jews didn't receive him. All right, and that's why, this opened up ability for, anybody to come in. No, it doesn't. First of all, there were plenty of Jews that did receive Yahushai, all right, or for your sake, Jesus Christ, all right? There was plenty of Jews, all right, that received Jesus Christ, all right, in your terms, okay? His real name is Yahushai, okay? It's not Yahushai HaMashiach, all right? HaMashiach means the anointed, not Jesus Christ, because again, J wasn't around to the 1500s, so how could his name be Jesus Christ? And it couldn't be Yeshua, all right, or Yahuwah, because again, if you go into the translation, it's false. It's a bad translation. It's bad, all right? Bad translation. Translate it right or don't translate it at all, all right? So, because if you're going with Yeshua, you might as well just stay with Jesus Christ, because it's just as wrong. So, it's like if Jesus is 10 out of 10 wrong, well, Yeshua is 9 out of 10 wrong. The only step you got is that it couldn't be a J. All right, you only have that one step. And again, close but no cigar. Close but no cigar. So it's still just as wrong. Okay, but there's plenty of Jews that received Yahushai, as you would call him, Jesus Christ. Okay, I don't know, all 12 apostles, disciples, that comes to mind. They were all Jews. Okay, you can go and look that up. I did ask this question: why were none of the apostles or disciples heathens? It says none of the original disciples were heathens or Gentiles, because Jesus specifically chose them from within the Jewish community. Their primary mission was to fulfill ancient prophecies of Israel. By Jew tradition, Israelite tradition, they were raised worshiping the power of Abraham and studying the Torah, as they say, the Torah. So, yes, all 12 of Yahushai's original disciples, for your sake, all 12 of Jesus' original disciples, including Peter, James, and John, were Jewish men from the region of Judea and Galilee. So, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? If they never received him, right, then this opened it up. Then how were all the original disciples, all right, of Yahushai's, or Jesus's, as you would say, how were Jesus's disciples Jewish then if his people didn't? You don't understand what it meant in reference to his people. His people is a reference. Let me get my sticky note that's in my pocket. Oh, never mind. It's in the side of the door. All right. So going back into John 1:11, let's read it one more time. It says, verse 11 specifically, John 1 and 11, it says, he came unto his own, and his own received him not. This is directly referencing, and I even asked Google about it. This is directly referencing Matthew 13 and 54. Because soon as that argument was brought up, I said, that's dealing with Matthew 13 and 54 through 58. That's what he's talking about with his own, all right? His own, the people from Jerusalem, okay? Not all Jews, okay? Because not all Jews were from Jerusalem, all right? They weren't, All right, some from the land of Judah. Well, Judah primarily was the southern kingdom was originally the Jews. If you want to get down to the heart of the word, Jews. Now there's the other tribes that are Israelites, but they're not necessarily Jews, right? Jews specifically is Judah. All right, so and that John 1:11 is specifically referencing Matthew 13 and 54 through 58. Let's read it. It says, and when he came into his own country, that's Yahushua going to his own country, in his own, where was he born? Right. So he taught them in their synagogue, insomuch that they were astonished, and said, whence has this man this wisdom and these mighty works? How does this man have these mighty works and this wisdom? Where did this come from? All right, is not this the carpenter's son? Isn't this guy? He's the carpenter's son? How does he have all this information? All right, is not his mother called Mary, and his brethren James and Joseph and Simon and Judas, and his sisters, are they not all with us? Aren't his sisters? They attend this very same synagogue. How does this man have any knowledge? Right. And this goes for you brothers when you wonder why your parents don't respect you, they don't see you as a prophet. Well, that's why. All right, people around you, they don't see you as a prophet. Why? Because they're too stupid and too short-minded to realize that just because they know you don't mean you can't be a prophet. They think, oh, I know you can't be a prophet. They think that to be a prophet, you have to not know someone. That's the most retarded fucking shit ever, right? That's the most fucking dumbass fucking moronic shit ever. Stupid asses, right? Just know, and I know you can't say that, but just know, brothers, most of your family are fucking dumb. I don't know if you know this. Just most of it, I'm sorry, not sorry. Most of your family's dumb. I'm sorry to say, you can't say it, but your mama's dumb. All right, your daddy's dumb. All right, most of our people are fucking dumb. As we've been getting the past few days, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, and they don't have the knowledge. So that must mean they don't have the knowledge, and that means they're going to be destroyed. All right, your grandmama dumb. All right, she's a dumbass. Sorry to say it. She might be a sweet old lady, but she's dumb. She doesn't know anything. She thinks the name's Jesus Christ, but she never did any of the research proving that the J doesn't exist until the 1520s. All right, that's a moron. That's a moron. All right, she'll listen to what the pastor says, but not what you try to say, and you try to show her the Bible scripture. That's a moron. She's dumb. Okay? Same thing with your daddy, same thing with your mama, same thing with your brother, same thing with your sister, same thing with your cousins. They're dumb. They're dumb. They're dumb. They don't have the knowledge, and if they don't have the knowledge, they're dumb. Sorry to say, they're dumb. Okay? It says, and they were offended in him. So we already got that part. No, we did. It says, are they not all with us? Whence then has these men all these things? So, I see his sister. She sits here every day. So how then can he have these things? All right? How then? They're not doing the same. They're not trying to claim that, oh, look at me. Oh, look at me. I'm so big and bad. Oh, who are you? Who are you? Yahushua? We knew you. We knew you. You ain't a prophet, boy. Right? That's the type of shit they were saying. Again, it's not going to give you exact every single detail about all the things that were said about him, but those are the types of things that were said about Yahushua. All right, oh, get out of here, man. You think you're a prophet? Who are you? You're just some boy. You're Mary's boy. Get out of here. Get out of here. I just saw your sister in the synagogue. Now, all of a sudden, you're a prophet. You're going to deliver us. Deliver us to where? Where? Down the street? Huh. I'm not listening to you. Right? And they were offended in him. But Yahushua said unto them, a prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and his own house. So he said a prophet does have honor, but not in his hometown, right? Not where people know him. Why? Because in the hometown, people know him, you're never going to get respect from these individuals, right? Because you grew up around these individuals. They're not going to think of you as anything, right? In 58, this is the heavy hitter right here. And he did not many mighty works there because of their unbelief. Okay, because of their unbelief. And again, he was in his hometown. He was in his own country, right? He was in his own country. That's where he was born, okay? So when you go back into John 1:11 and say, oh, well, his own people received him not, it's talking about Matthew 13 and 54 through 58 and other scriptures that are referencing the same thing, right? And Christians don't get it, but even Google can get it. I asked, is John 1:11 in reference to Matthew 13 and 54 through 58? And I asked this after I already knew it, okay? I already knew it, because as soon as I read it, I said, that's dealing with Matthew 13 and 54, right? That's what it's dealing with. So let's see, is it what it's dealing with? Yes, John 1:11, he came to his own, and his own people did not receive him, is widely understood as the theological summary of events like the one described in Matthew 13 and 54 through 58. He came to his own refers to Yahushua entering his hometown of Nazareth, teaching in the synagogue and offering his wisdom to the people he grew up alongside with. His people did not receive him. Refers directly to the townspeople taking offense at him because they not only saw him as the carpenter's son, their disbelief limited his ability to perform miracles there. It didn't necessarily limit him. It caused him to say, well, I'm not going to put this in his mouth, but screw you then. Right? Fine then. If I can't do anything, then I guess I can't do anything then. And because of that, he didn't do many miracles there. Right? It says, why they share the same overarching message of rejection by the Jewish people, they serve different purposes in the Gospels. Well, you can go on after this because, again, it's talking specifically with his hometown people. Because if it was dealing with all Jews, then guess what? Then the disciples would have been fucked. Okay? Because they were Jews. See, this is why you need to understand your context, man. You need to understand what you're talking about. Okay? So, and again, why were none of the disciples were heathens, man? None of them. Okay? None of them. And when people talk about things like this and they don't know what they're talking about, that's just directly Isaiah 8 and 20. Right? And we get this a lot, and we're going to continue to get it. And like the Apostle Gabar said recently, he said, oh, you keep on making the same lessons about everything. He says, then guess what? Don't watch them then. Stop watching them then. Right? And then he went on, you know what he did? He continued to make the lesson. So anyway, and I'm gonna say that because I've been directly told that before. Right? Oh, you make the same lessons over and over again. Cool then. Don't fucking watch them. Matter of fact, you're banned from watching them. Fuck off. Isaiah 8 and 20. It says, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. They're saying, oh no, that directly opened up, the Gentiles receive salvation. No, it didn't. All right, and yes, Gentiles could receive salvation, but not the Gentiles you're thinking of. There's two different types of Gentiles. There's one, the Gentiles that were heathen born, of heathen blood, and then there's Gentiles that were born abroad in heathen lands, but of Israelite blood. All right. First, for example, Corinthians is talking about the Israelites scattered abroad in Corinth. Romans is talking about the Israelites. They were, again, as called Gentiles that were dwelling in the land of Romans. Ephesians, all right, is dealing with the people dwelling in the land of Ephesus that, again, were Israelites. All right, I mean, if you look at the title of the first, Ephesians 1 and 1 and Romans 1 and 1 and 1 Corinthians 1 and 1, if you look into these, it usually gives you a header, all right, that talks about who these were speaking of. Okay, but again, Christians don't have that context, and it's just like the Lord was going and going out to Gentiles, was he not? Well, remember how there was that woman at the well, all right, and he mentioned to her, he said, I am not sent but to gather the lost children of the flock of Israel, or the lost sheep of the children of Israel. So they were lost. They didn't know they were Israel. Okay, they were lost because, again, they've been, after the diaspora, all right, scattered abroad in all these different areas, and they were dwelling in these places for generation upon generation, not knowing who they were. Okay, they were called. I mean, for example, Paul was Roman born, but he was a Benjamite. Okay, but he was also called a Roman, but he was also called a Benjamite, and he was a Jew, but he was also a Roman. See how that works? So, Romans were getting saved, yeah, but really, it's just like Paul. Okay, they were called Romans, but they really weren't Romans at the bloodline. Bloodline lineage, they go back to Abraham, Isaac, and most importantly in that bracket, Jacob. Because if you just go back to Abraham and Isaac, you could be an Edomite. You have to go back Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, Jacob is the forefather of Israel. Okay, his name was later changed into Israel, an indicative of who he was and who he represented. Okay, so again, Isaiah 8 and 20, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there's no light in them. And they don't get it. They don't understand it. Right? They're spiritually retarded. All right? So, let's go back and continue to play that video. And see what that individual had to say. And Jake said a good snare. All right, one of the brothers here had a great comment. He said, dual means are hurt. That it's true. Esau hates accountability. That's true. Yeah, right here. Child of Israel 144 said at 205, Obadiah 1 and 18 was a beautiful snare that brother set for the Edomite. And again, this guy is still, akin to a brother. He's just got to cut those dreads, man. and got to, do it 100% right way. Let everything be done decently in order. I mean, you're acting like a brother, and again, it's just, you got to come the right way, man. So anyway, let's finish up with what this guy was saying. Let's just start over, but after that, and again, this is probably going to be a 2-part lesson, right?
We're gonna go to John chapter 1. We're gonna look at this verse right here.
But I mean, I don't mind going there, but I want to know, like, are we gonna deal with the new covenant concept, or are we gonna deal with what you're trying to say with John 1? Because there's
covenant,
like, it doesn't
whose
mention
blood is the covenant in, Yachty?
Christ, but it doesn't mention that there.
He came into his own people, and his own did not receive him. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. This is where we switched from national relationships with God to individual relationships with God. And an individual who receives Christ, who believes in his name, is given the right to become a child of God who's born not of the blood, meaning that you didn't earn this, or you weren't.
That's not true.
You don't receive this from your heritage. Born not of the will of the flesh. You
do receive it from your heritage. All right. It's an overwhelmingly. I mean, we just did that lesson the other day. It says the declaration of your tribes is overwhelmingly done by the lineage of your father. All right, and yes, you had to be of the tribes to be an Israelite and to be saved. Yes. You don't understand the context. Okay, Christians love ignoring context, and that's fine. But you're wrong.
I mean, you can't go climb some mountain high enough in order to earn this, nor of the will of man. I mean, you can't just choose. Well, today's Sunday afternoon.
You don't. I mean, you're predestinated. You're either of the Israel. Well, it's even being Israelite is predestination in itself, because predestined means to be foreclosed. All right, and the Lord, chose all those that would be the Israelites, and then he chose all those that wouldn't be the Israelites. All right, and then he chose amongst the Israelites those that would be a part of the elect, and even more so, a part of the elect, which of course the elect is, you want to be part of the elect, but amongst that he chose an elite group of men called the 144,000. Okay, so choices within groups within groups. Okay,
to be born of God through belief in his name. This is what. So, will there be Edomites who escape the judgment of God? Absolutely.
You can't escape.
Because the Bible clearly says that anyone who believes upon his name has the right to become a child of God. So when we talk about will the nation of Edom be destroyed? Now see that my relationship with God is between me and him. There's no one that stands between me and God.
I'll be honest too. This guy honestly, I was watching this lesson in the background while I was, I can't remember necessarily what I was doing. And I might have been doing like some Amazon shopping or something like that, or eBay shopping earlier this morning. I was watching this, and I was listening to it. I didn't have the screen up because, of course, I was shopping on the phone. And I said, "Who's this homosexual that is that's talking to this guy? This guy sounds effeminate. I'm gonna be honest. This so-called white guy. He sound. I don't know if you brothers picked that up, you sisters as well, but he sounds sweet. Just saying. Not that it means anything, but I'm just saying."
Okay.
I mean, it does mean something, because at the end of the day, a lot of the Mormons, a lot of these individuals, when they leave the as they would say, the Christian faith, a lot of them turn into homosexuals, right? It just, I don't know, it's kind of strange to me.
Just anyway. for a second, just since you mentioned it, so I want to come. I really want to talk to you about the new covenant, to be honest. But let's deal with this first. So since you mentioned the Edomites. So this, can you go to Obadiah 1 and 18, and can you tell me what that means?
Obadiah 1:18.
Yeah, and actually, could you tell me what's the definition of a survivor?
What's the definition of a survivor?
Yeah.
English definition of a survivor is someone who escaped or survived or did not die.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. So. And you said earlier, just a minute ago, there will be Edomites who escape their judgment, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now could you read Obadiah 1 and 18 and then exegete that for me?
Watch this guy's face.
Sure.
Watch the Edomite's face, though. Because what the brother here said, he said, so define survive, okay? And let's go and do that real quick, okay? Because, again, I have Obadiah 1 and 8 as well, all right? that I'm going to read. But let me go and get define. Well, let me leave that up. Or actually, what we should do is Bible Gateway. We'll leave that up. But what I want to do is before survive, define. Okay, and I have it on my sticky note, but it means to continue to live or exist. All right? To survive means to continue to live or exist. We're going to leave that up. Let's go hear what the guy says.
The house of Jacob shall be a fire, the house of Joseph shall be a flame, and the house of Esau shall be stubble. They shall burn them and consume them, and there shall be no survivor in the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken it.
What does that mean?
Okay? So,
look,
I feel like when you do this, you'll take one verse, and then you'll ignore the rest of Scripture to try and hammer down on one verse.
So it's not that. See, it's not that I want to take one scripture. It's the thing is, if I have a belief system, like my belief system, my exegesis of the text, it needs to work everywhere. I can't just work here and then not work here. It needs to work everywhere. So, and I feel like that should be everybody's. Like, 'cause if it doesn't, then you could just make the Bible contradict itself all over. I mean,
it's true.
That's the only other recourse you have. What I'm saying is, if you believe the Edomites are going to be like Edomites can be saved, the Lord right here says there's not going to be any survivor. You just admitted like a survivor is somebody who escapes. It says there will be no survivor. So I need you to explain to me, why does the Lord say there will be no survivor of the Edomites if you believe there will be a survivor of the Edomites?
It's time to once and for all put this
So that's the first part we're going to deal with. This guy is going to get a separate lesson made about him in part 2. But it was such a perfect snare that brother set. All right, and that shows you that these Christians, they really don't read their Bible and they really don't understand their Bible. Because if I was a Christian, I heard Obadiah 1:18, and I'd say I'm not going to fucking reading that. I don't know what you're talking about. Obadiah, it's not. First of all, I wouldn't have let them, a survivor. Well, first of all, I would have bullshitted. I would have been like, well, a survivor can be one who, gets through a specific scenario. I try to be more, you're an Edomite. Come on, man. Use your subtlety, right? Your guile, okay? Use your lies, all right? We know that you're the, progenitor of all these different lies. It's a lie, right? You really fucked your situation up in that by telling the truth. But thank you. It's really because Yahweh Shemi Shai had that on you, had that chain on you to make you look like a moron. And call all Yahweh Shemi Shai for that. I just want to say another excellent play by the Lord Yahweh Shemi Shai. Fantastic as always. So it's hilarious, man. It really is. So survive again means to continue to live or exist, and I like that specifically when it talks about exist, because it means continue to exist. Esau is not going to continue to exist, right? Obadiah 1:18. Here it is. Let's go and get the definition again of survive: to continue to live or exist. Obadiah 1:18. And actually, what he was getting it in was, I don't know what he was getting in, but I'm going to get it in the NRSV, right? Because the King James Version, right, widely debated. Everybody likes to debate the King James Version, say, oh, that's not it. So what So sometimes the audio cuts out there. I don't know if you heard it, but I said, what Bible version is the most accepted by scholars? The NRSV. That's why I get the NRSV a lot, all right? It's the most accepted Bible version for academic and scholarly work, okay? It's translated a diverse team of Protestant, Catholic, Orthodox, and Jewish scholars. It makes it standard text in seminaries and universities, all right? So we'll get the King James Version, but it says, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, for they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken it. So there shall not be any remaining. But if you needed more content, well, any remaining out of that, well, that can be, well, no. Let's get the NRSV. The house of Jacob shall be a fire, the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau stubble, they shall burn them and consume them, and there shall be no survivor of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken. There shall be no survivor. Not one Edomite shall live or exist after. That's them being wiped out completely, and that's going to happen after the 1,000 years, mind you. So what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't know. What have you been reading? All right, and then we have Obadiah 1 and 8 through 9. And that's where we're going to close this lesson out. Let me go ahead and, 1 minute. Folding up my sticky note, bear with me. Trying to keep it to where, actually I'll just rip the top off. Probably the best thing to do. One minute. Alright, that part's done, so I'll just set that over there. Set that piece too. So now I just got this tiny little slot for the next one. Anyway, and I'll put that in my pocket for later. Alright, so bear with me. Obadiah 1 and 8 through 9. It says, shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, destroy, it's like even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau, which means that basically what he's saying is that it don't matter if you're wise, it don't matter if you're smart, it don't matter. If you're an Edomite, you're getting destroyed. Okay? Ain't no ifs, ands, buts, period. No, if you are an Edomite, you're going to be destroyed. It says, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Okay? And this just shows you that all throughout the scriptures, the Lord has had a bone to pick with Esau. Okay? And that's what we're going to really be talking about. Our next one is because we got a guy talking about Job being an Edomite. And if you go and look where that comes from, that whole text that was attached to the Septuagint, because you have the Septuagint, which was, one of the scrolls that the King James Version Greek translation came from, and a lot of other Greek translations as well. But right at the preface before Job, or after Job, I can't remember which part it was, in Jew, as they would say, Jewish scholars, all right, Jew individuals that were utilizing these for biblical translations, stated that the part that, because some people say, oh, Job was an Edomite. Well, the part that comes from in the Septuagint, mind you, it's not anywhere in the Bible. It comes from an attached note. Okay, it was not part of the original scrolls. Okay, the part that comes from, oh, he was the son of Zerah, or I think it was something like that. Who was one of the sons of Esau. That whole thing is bullshit. Okay, it's fucking bullshit. All right, again, it wasn't part of the original scroll. It was an attached document. You can look that up. I believe even I think I have ChatGPT on that, because I was asking them about that, right? And I even had to force feed it that Job was an Edomite, just to try to get it to try to tell me what it was talking about. I'm like, no, because it said it was Edom. And then it said no, so no, it's not part of the original thing. And then it finally agreed. It was like, oh yeah, so Job was, an Edomite if we're looking at that. But again, you had to force it just to get that, because again, Job was not an Edomite. Okay, he wasn't an Edomite. That note that was attached to the Septuagint, and again, the Septuagint had the original, and that, as I said, that scroll was not a part of the original Hebrew. All right, it was not a part of the original Hebrew scroll that the New Testament came from. So what was it? Some bullshit. It was some fucking bullshit. Okay, it was just an attached document. All right, that's like if I went and got that's like if I went and got The Hobbit. All right, and went in there and I said, oh yeah, Frodo was actually a 10-foot tall dragon. And but he was just in the body of a man, and he would go on to fight and take over the land, all right, and be the most evil force, even other than Sauron. And no, I mean, I could attach that in there. It doesn't make it true. I could put a sticky note in there that says all that though, but that's not part of the original story. So just saying that. But anyway, that's what we're going to touch on, Lord willing, in the next part of this, because this is the part 1. So that's where we're going to close out with this. Lord willing, was edifying. Again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakwadash. I want to say shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. These Edomites are hurt, and they're going to stay hurt. Until the next one, Lord willing, shalom.